Salutations, everyone. This is my movie review of Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, based off of the Marvel comic book. Not the original Guardians of the Galaxy, of course. When I first heard that they were making this movie, I was like, the who now? Because even as a comic book reader myself, Guardians of the Galaxy is still pretty obscure source material to be creating a movie. And, after doing some I've barely read any Guardians of the Galaxy, at all. So I'm not too familiar with the characters, but with a movie like that, they have more creative license to, mold the characters into their own, as opposed to a more well-known character to which you really have to stick to some structure, a lot of bullet points that you have to keep faithful to the source material. And having not read a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm not sure how much it was like the comic as far as true to the characters. But from what I do know about them, it was pretty faithful. And overall, I thought the movie was pretty good. It was definitely a pleasant surprise. Like, a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, if you were thinking, just a few years ago. They only relaunched, this comic book, in 2006. Before then, these were all reject characters from all kinds of other, Marvel series that were just in limbo for decades. And they ragtagged all these characters together. Even the Guardians of the Galaxy name is something that they took from something else. So this was a movie that was not supposed to be made, and it was not supposed to be good. But it was made, and it was good. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people have been saying that this is the greatest Marvel movie ever, and it's amazing, and it's so, hilarious and stuff. And I can understand why people want to get excited about this movie. First of all, it's a Marvel movie. It ventures into outer space for the first time. And it was surprisingly good. A movie with this type of cast, with these type of characters, isn't set up for success, but they actually did. A lot of people are crediting James Gunn, the director of the film, this is what happened when James Gunn gets his hands on a film. And did you not see James Gunn's last two movies? Super, which was a superhero movie, terrible. Movie 43, probably the worst film in the history of cinema. And he's made some decent ones, like he did the two Scooby-Doo movies and a couple of horror films that some people liked. But he doesn't have a great track record, especially recently. But they pulled it off with Guardians of the Galaxy. Chris Pratt was an interesting choice for a lead male role in an action movie. But based off the Star-Lord character, he isn't someone who's supposed to be likable. Or at least at first, he was originally supposed to be someone that everyone hated, and then he grew into being a hero. His name literally means Dick. Peter and Quill, both references to the phallus. But, Chris Pratt did a good job. And of course they had that, I take my shirt off to show everyone that I worked out for this movie scene, which is fine. Bradley Cooper was great as Rocket. Vin Diesel, lending his voice works and talent to Groot, which might surprise some people. Vin Diesel, some people don't remember that he was the Iron Giant. And Zoe Saldana as Gamora was good as well. And Batista as Drax, I think, was a really good casting. He was a fantastic character. It was a funny movie. Funnier than Iron Man 3, not by miles, but the movie all in all was pretty funny. The writing was really good. The writing was really the standout of the entire film. It wasn't necessarily the setting or the plot. It was really the characters and how they interacted with each other and the development of those characters, learning their backstories. It really hasn't changed from the comic books, really whatsoever. There are some parts of the movie that are supposed to surprise you if you're a layman and you have no idea about the Guardians of the Galaxy. I guess I'll get into spoiler territory now. So if you haven't seen the movie, go see it. It's worth a watch, especially since nothing's out right now and won't be for another couple months. But here are the spoilers, if you could consider them spoilers. For instance, Star-Lord is part Spartax. Gamora is the adopted daughter of Thanos. Drax's family was killed by Thanos. I mean, they kind of revealed that rather early on. The Howard the Duck scene at the end was fucking hilarious. That came out of left field. No one saw that one coming. So the movie was really funny. The fact that Drax couldn't understand metaphors and, Chris Pratt's obsession with the 80s, which they could have easily overplayed and overdone, but I think they struck a good balance of references. A lot of people love the soundtrack in this movie, which I think is really weird because there's no original songs whatsoever or even songs from this millennium. Obviously that doesn't mean that they can't be good songs, but people are like, oh my god, the soundtrack is so amazing of movies that are, music came out in the late 70s, early mid 80s, and it's like, they're just, they were good songs, and if consider them to be good, they were good songs on their own and don't really constitute, oh my god, the soundtrack is so good, when they're, songs that we've been hearing in every movie for the past 40 years. So, wasn't too big on the soundtrack like everyone else is. It was definitely a funny film. The action was decent. What I really liked about it, comedic-wise, was that it poked fun at a lot of action movie tropes and cliches. Like, it would steer into doing a cliche or a trope and then turn it on its head, which was very funny, very appreciated, and something that I think more movies should do. But Guardians of the Galaxy was just a ragtag team of characters from other IPs and pieced together a decent comic book that I know some people like. Like I said, it only really came into what we know of the Guardians now just 10 years ago. And the fact that this movie was made is surprising, and the fact that it was really good was surprising, especially when you compare it to the lineup of other superhero movies that we've seen in the past. This one doesn't really fit as well, but I think it was a good movie. I think it's definitely being overhyped. People are throwing all kinds of things out there like it's the best Marvel movie ever. I think it's a far cry from that. I thought it was definitely good. Maybe the most pleasant surprise of any Marvel movie ever. At least the most pleasant surprise of any movie this year. Because like I said, this movie is not geared for success right out of the gate. But the writing definitely helped. Good motion capture, good voice acting by Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel. Funny throughout the movie. Some of the stuff was, a little too easy, a little lowbrow, which, most of the people will laugh at, but I realize I'm more difficult to please when it comes to comedy than most people, but I still thought it was a rather funny movie, with really good writing. Overall, I thought as a Marvel movie, it was a good setup for future things to come. Of course, you have the Infinity Stone, which the Collector was supposedly at the end of Thor 2 is already in possession of one, so they didn't really touch on that at all. Also, the Nova Corps I thought was cool. The fact that they didn't do too much exposition in this movie, you're paying attention to the movie, you're gonna get it type of thing. They didn't really dumb it down a lot of things for the audience, which I thought, was another good part on the writing. The movie was definitely good. Not movie of the year, not the best Marvel movie ever. Definitely the funniest. Really good writing on an eclectic group of characters and actors that portray those characters. I mean, look, you have Chris Pratt, who hasn't been in a lead role yet. You have, Bradley Cooper voicing a raccoon, a tree who can only say his name like a Pokemon, and Bautista, who's not known as an actor. But it all culminated into a rather enjoyable movie. The action wasn't standout. The plot wasn't standout. The villain wasn't bad, but not a standout. But it was just the writing that really made this movie what it is. And I'm actually, looking forward to there being a second Guardians of the Galaxy movie to see what they do with that. What they showed of Thanos I thought was good. He wasn't set up to be this movie's villain, because of, the other guy kind of just stepped in and took that Infinity Gemstone. They made a central goal in the movie and a bunch of, eclectic characters grouping around that goal and becoming friends, in the end, which is, cliche in itself, but they did a better job at it than most films when it comes to people that aren't supposed to like each other and butt heads and then become friends and family and learn to trust each other in the end. But it was just good writing, rather funny, and an enjoyable movie, superhero or not. It's just, it was just fun. But definitely not one of the best movies in any genre you're going to be seeing. But definitely still worth a watch. Anyways, that is my review. Good movie. Definitely go see it. It's a little overhyped, so don't get, your hopes too far up. But definitely worth a watch.